this morning I bring you a tale of awful woe and woeful awfulness in the Daily Telegraph. Yesterday was that ritual hate fest that has become the LGB Alliance Festival, where a whole bunch of people who aren't either LG or B do get together to decide that the key things that people who are LG and B, not them, need to do and talk about is how much they hate trans people. And sure enough, they did. If you look at their conference agenda, you can see exactly what that was. Anyway, yes, the Daily Telegraph may or may not have sent a reporter there, because we've got something from Louisa, Clarence-Smith, education editor, which is just really incredible. I mean, genuinely incredible that a supposed quality newspaper, a quality broadsheet, would actually publish this. It's got the kind of level of puff piece that the Express might run off really quickly if somebody's just been looking at Twitter and can't really be bothered. But one has the feeling that Louisa Clarence-Smith actually was there and actually spoke to a person who actually said this stuff that she actually wrote down, which she then actually turned into a piece which an actual editor passed, and it was actually put into the newspaper. So let's dive into this, because I don't know, it really is something else. Activist teachers, in inverted commas, question pupils every term about their gender, parents claim. LGB Alliance Conference also hears of allegations of children being punished for misgendering their teacher. Awful stuff going on there. Anyway, yes, inverted commas, an activist. It will come back to the activist teachers, because I must admit at one point in this piece I got very confused. So let's have a look at this. So teachers are surveying pupils over gender confusion and punishing them for using the wrong pronouns, it's been claimed. Parents and former teachers spoke about the infiltration of radical gender ideology in schools on Friday at a conference in central London hosted by LGB Alliance, the charity for gay, lesbian and bisexual people who don't like trans people, and that's their primary thing. No sign of their helpline anytime soon, obviously. Right, here we go. A parent from Brighton told of a young woman who thought she was a boy at school because teachers questioned pupils at least once a term to ask if they were confused about their gender. We've got a really well-rounded young woman. She's now 19, she said. And she said the reason I was gender confused was because we were surveyed by the teachers at least every term, if not every month. And every single one of those surveys would say, are you confused about your gender? Do you really think you should be a boy? Are you worried you might be a boy? Now, that's not the parent talking to the reporter, by the way. That's the reporter writing down what this woman said verbatim, no doubt from a recording, one can only presume. And you think to yourself, well, number one, nobody writes down in a school thing, do you think you're a boy, in any form of survey whatsoever. Now, that's just number one. Secondly, being the person that I am in the wee hours of the morning, I decided that I'd look up the local press, because if this was a big thing and locally in Brighton, it would come up. And so you do a fairly extensive Google search, because, hey, I'm that kind of git. Anyway, and you discover that there was a survey that went out in 2016. Now, unless Brighton have incredibly long terms, I mean like years long terms, 8-9 year long terms, then it's certainly not termly or indeed monthly. It means that you could basically go through your school and only get one of these surveys once. But anyway, going back to the point, if this was a big story back in 2016 and it carried on and was carrying on being a big story, then the local press would cover it, wouldn't they? Oh no, they wouldn't, because they get nobbled, don't they, by the powers, no doubt. Yes, I'm not convinced about that. Anyway, moving on, we have pupils punished for misgendering teacher, again inverted commas, at another school. 11-year-olds have been punished for misgendering their teacher, according to the parent who runs PHSE Brighton. Now, we'll come on to that organisation, I use that word very lightly, a campaign group for families worried about sex education in schools. She said, we had year 7s who were innocently going, yes, miss, I'll do that. Bang! They're in what's called a non-detention, like lockdown, something like that, where they lock them up after school. 2 years in a row, the year 7s have been given this punishment for misgendering this teacher in their first 3 days at school. Yes, bang! Just like that, they're given a detention in what looks like a detention. Anyway, again, I couldn't find anything about this locally, but if it was a big story locally, blah, 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 newspaper carrying it, oh no, they're not, no doubt, because the powers that be, the spooky activist teachers have stopped it, no doubt, I don't know, but no, okay? Just no, on any rational basis, no. All right. Anyway, let's move on. The parent also told of a teacher who had sent an 11-year-old questioning their gender to an unqualified male, inverted commas you notice, who after 2 sessions helped her buy a penis packer so she could try living as a boy just to see how it feels. Okay then, yes. Now, I'll just leave that one for you to ponder for a moment as to whether or not that would be a monumentally huge scandal on any circumstances anywhere in the UK, which, you know, the male and everybody else would be desperate to get their claws into, but magically not, because it's Brighton, which we all know is run by perverts or gay people. Oh no, gay people are okay if they're the proper G ones in the LGB lot, not the TQA or indeed those bastards who are plus, presumably. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, just farcical. Let's move on. There's more, yeah. Okay, so we have, she also said activist teachers had written to a head teacher at a school saying they would go against the head's instructions not to use the child's preferred pronouns. Now then, at that point I was stumped because I was thinking, so activist teachers are now the don't like trans teachers, according to this, right? So the Daily Telegraph has managed to swap people's activist identity, in fact getting it wrong, which means they should go into a form of lockdown punishment, I do believe. But again, if they were activist teachers, wouldn't they, jumping up and down about it like the good concerned citizens at the LGB Alliance, make a fuss about this? You could run with this to the Daily Telegraph, because after all they will print any old unverified tosh anyway. And again, nothing. You can do these Google search, and I did in the wee hours of the morning, came up with nothing, because, you know, I actually do try to verify what they say. It's an opinion, granted, but it's one backed up by evidence, Daily Telegraph. Miss double-barreled named journalist who may or may not, I don't know. You know, parents have told me loads of awful things about the way that she trains kittens to eat slugs in her garden, which is just awful. Can't verify it, so it's okay if I just state that, isn't it? In another example, and this is the pièce de résistance, the good one, yeah. She claimed that a teacher at a Brighton school, Natch, had told pupils she was non-binary and refused to wear sanitary protection. The parents said, we've got a group of pupils at a school where one of the teachers is non-binary, and this particular teacher has taught the pupils that she is neither male or female. Okay, yes, that's kind of non-binary, if you like. Therefore, she's not required to wear sanitary protection when she menstruates. It gets brillianter. What she then does is wears white, very to light linen clothes when she menstruates, so the blood shows through to generate a conversation with the kids. Yes, I imagine that would generate a conversation with the kids. I would imagine it would generate a huge national, if not indeed an international, media scandal, wouldn't it? But presumably the activist teachers, you know, the bad ones, have decided to cover this up because, again, I can see nothing about this in local news. Now, the newspapers, as we well know, are quite happy to make up any old tosh and put it in. But magically, these extremely true stories from PHSE Brighton don't manage to reach that hurdle. And if you look at PHSE Brighton, you discover that it's just one person who has a Twitter site. They do have a website where they want you to sign a petition against menstruating white things or whatever it might be, right? But as far as I can make out, there are no comments on it whatsoever. Most of these type of sites, if you go to the biggies like James S's, give me some money, please, all those kind of ones, right? Okay, they have large numbers of comments on them. This one is nothing. If you go to this person's, I believe, this person's Twitter account, they've got 77 followers, right? Now, one of my Twitter accounts to keep an eye on all of these morons. No, not morons, are they? Idiots? I don't know. But, people that have disappeared down the conspiracy rabbit hole, all these people, has more followers than that, and I don't post anything. 77. They don't, as far as I can make out, have any presence whatsoever on Facebook, which is normally where these kind of mum's net nutters hang out. But just going back to the central thing here, the central problem with this is Louisa Clarence-Smith, is how on earth is it that you can print this absolute, obviously and laughably false tosh and your newspaper will publish it? It's astounding. It's astounding because it is simply some of the most gratuitously awful propaganda, bad journalism that I've seen for a very long period in time. It really does take the biscuit. I'm sure you could have come up with something better from the anti-trans conference yesterday. Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Jeez, these people, honestly.